When you take the subject of how can men buy someone for sex, and where is that human connection which allows you to see that the person that's standing in front of you is a human being? Hi, this is Marcos Nogueira with Live2Love, and today in our weekly video, I would like to talk about something that is a little uncomfortable, but it's something that I believe needs to be brought to light. Here at Live2Love, we're involved with human trafficking. That is our main focus, to expose. And although a lot of people don't think it happens around them, it is all around us, and that's the reality of it. And often when we go to places to talk about human trafficking, or when we're first introducing this subject to people, one of the main reactions is, well, but this woman, this girl, this lady is choosing to put herself in that situation. It's a choice. Although there are exceptions where that is the truth, it is by far a lie that a lot of people believe in. Most people get into the situation either by force from a young age. A lot of times it's people that come from broken homes where they didn't have that structure of love, and they find themselves in these situations because they get involved with people that simply do not have what's best for them in their hearts and their minds. And often the problem is put on the woman, it's put on the girl, it's put on the person who is out there in the streets. And that is surprising because, like anything, there's nothing that happens without a demand. There is no product without demand. And this demand falls on men. And that's what I want to bring to your attention today. I was thinking about this week. How come we've gotten into a situation where this is overlooked? I believe it's something that's very unfair to the women who are out there going through this. But then I started analyzing our society, and I started thinking about the way America is, or not only America, but the whole world. And it's not surprising that it's overlooked. It's not surprising that men will completely ignore the fact that the person that's in front of them, that's selling themselves to him, is a human being. And they detach themselves from feeling. The reason I believe this happens and why it's not surprising, is because we grow up in a society where pornography is completely accepted. Sex is sold to us around every corner. Sex sells. That's already a saying that many people have accepted. And that's the problem. I believe our society has accepted that this is normal. How can it be required or expected for a man to have respect for a woman in a society where he grows up watching pornography, watching scenes where one woman will be just exchanged and used up by a different man on the same scene? It's something we don't take into consideration. And I've seen a lot of people give excuses like, oh, but they're just acting. Those are just actresses. Let me ask you something. Would you want your daughter or your wife or your mother to be one of those actresses? Would you want somebody that you truly love and have care for to be in that situation? See, I think it's completely ironic that we look down at human trafficking and we say that's wrong, and yet on the other hand, society says, well, pornography is something that's already become mainstream. The billions of dollars that are generated every year by porn sites or pornography shows us where our heart truly lies. It is extremely hypocritical for a person to say, I am against prostitution, and yet accept the fact that pornography is something that has become normal amongst us. It is impossible to expect for a young man that grows up on pornography, where people and mainstream say this is a normal thing, this is okay, this is what kids do, this is what teenagers do. Oh, that's just age, which is not the truth. See, the problem with pornography is that you take a young man at a young age, when his mind is still developing, and you put in front of him a woman doing things that she would never do outside of camera. And the fact that a lot of people believe that women will do that outside of camera is because we have a pornographic culture. If you believe that that's what women should be doing, the result of that, of your belief, is because we've already as a culture accepted that into our society. So you take a young man, his mind's still developing. He grows up, he watches these things, he watches women do things that they would never do. He watches her go from hand to hand with many different men. He watches her degrade herself over and over again, lower and lower every time. This young man grows up, and he grows up on that because anybody that says that porn is not an addiction has no idea what they're talking about, because it's already treated as a drug. Many people consider it a serious addiction the same way your brain reacts to a drug, your brain reacts to pornography. Now he's finally going to find someone. He's going to find a woman to meet him. And then as he meets someone, as he meets a young woman, those things that he watched, that his young brain developed into believing is something to be expected from that young woman. And you know what's worse is that now young women are growing up believing that that is something that they should do. Why? Because we accepted the porn culture in our country, in our nation. And it is sad because it's something that ends marriages. It's something that places in the mind of man impossible, unachievable goals for their wives. It takes away respect. It takes away trust. It feeds cheating. It feeds lust. And it completely destroys and entangles everything that God meant a marriage to be. You have young men going into a marriage expecting their wives to be a porn star instead of expecting them to be daughters of God. And that is something that our society needs to fight against. The church can't be ashamed or embarrassed of talking about this because millions of men are affected by it, whether they're in church or not. And we need to take this seriously because the truth is pornography is like a cancer. This is something that the devil has inserted as a weapon against men of God in the church. And we need to take a stand against it because it feeds into rape. It feeds into prostitution. It feeds into human trafficking. It all begins, people don't realize, people don't see the large scope of it, but everything is affected by it. The way we think, the way our brains are developed, the way our young women think, the way we see human trafficking, the way we see prostitution. I believe that this is one of the root causes. Men are in front of their TVs feeding themselves that over and over again. And eventually, as the Bible says, the eye never gets tired of seeing. We always want more. And eventually, that is no longer enough. Now they need to find a way to recreate what they watched for so long into real life. And you know where they go? They go to prostitution. They go into people that are getting paid to do what they see in the screen. And that is the truth. We need to stand together. We need to fight against this. We need to talk more about it as people of God.